Okay, anyone responds to me? Who knows Elizabeth Holmes? Just share with us if anyone know who is Elizabeth Holmes, who has heard about Elizabeth Holmes.
Elizabeth
Sorry?
Holmes. Yeah,
So you have heard about Elizabeth Holmes, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
that.
You have watched about
Yeah,
Elizabeth Holmes, right?
yeah. She
Sure.
created.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
So
the one.
yeah, what is the what is the what do you call? It's not issue. What has Elizabeth Holmes done, Aisha?
Maybe she created a new kind of analysis
Mm-hmm.
for blood,
Mm-hmm.
and she earned a lot of money.
Mm.
Yeah, at the end of the story, she failed because nothing was accurate.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you so much. Okay. So for those who have not heard about Elizabeth Holmes, because Aisha was in my class during the beginning of this research methodology, but in other groups. Okay. So Elizabeth Holmes is a founder for a new startup called Theranos. Okay. But she's a scientist. She's a scientist and she believes in her innovation. Okay. So she's very motivated and really believe that whatever that she have created, have innovated will work. Okay. So what happened is, okay, Elizabeth Holmes, or usually call it Holmes, she wants to create affordable, cheap blood tests. Okay, so we usually, if you are to test for any disease or any problems, you go to the hospitals or you go to the clinics, you will draw bloods a lot. Yeah, it is called peripheral blood, where you actually have to do from here. Okay, and of course, it's painful. For some of you, for some, probably it's okay. Uh, so the physician or the MA, medical assistant, has to withdraw bloods from you, and probably you have to wait until 24 hours or probably in the afternoon just to know about the results. Okay, so Elizabeth Holmes is highly motivated and has this ambition that she can create a machine called Theranos. Yeah, that's why she named the startup or her company as Theranos. The name is Theranos. So, who is Elizabeth Holmes? Okay, she is a dropout of Stanford. Okay, Stanford is a um, very good university. Even those Mark Zuckerberg also is a dropout of Stanford. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I forgot whether Stanford or Harvard. So she's a dropout of Stanford, and why she dropped out? Because she's very motivated to uh, try to realize her ambition through Theranos. Okay, so she founded a company called Theranos with her tuition money, meaning that the money that's supposed to be for her study, she founded a company called Theranos. So what she envisioned was with the machine, okay, you can Google Theranos and you look at the machine, you will find the machine is quite small. Uh, and she claimed that the machine can run hundreds of tests, okay, from standard, for example, cholesterol, glucose, also to those cancer detecting biomarker, okay. So she claims that the results are faster, more accurate, and cheaper. The word is cheaper. She wished that is the ultimate aim for her, is to have an alternative, cheaper blood analysis compared to those who has to be sent to the lab, and then, of course, time consuming, and at the same time, it is very costly. And another thing that she claims is the machine requires only a drop of blood, yeah, the pinprick. Yeah, so it does not requires a lot like you used to. We used to do blood analysis. You have to give them a few tubes. So she claims that can be done only with some drop of blood. Okay, so those are her claims, and she worked for I don't know how long. Okay, but then, okay, end up, okay, this lady named Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos founder, was charged with scientific fraud, okay, at the end of 2021. So why does this happen? Okay, so you can actually read about this. Okay, just a moment. If you Google, you can read a lot about this lady and who she is. Okay, uh, she even listed in Forbes under 30. Okay, Forbes had named Holmes the youngest and wealthiest self-made female billionaire. Yeah, a lot of people invested in her company. Okay, and the value of her company is about 9 billion at that time. Even the president of America at that time visited her lab. Okay, so unfortunately, the following years, okay, Theranos claims began to say Forbes revised. Okay, because of course Forbes retract the claim. Okay, what happened here? Okay, what happened? What do you think happened? This is Holmes. Okay, can someone just give an idea, Shakirin? What happened here? What might happen? What have happened probably, or what might uh, cause the fraud? Shakirin.
I think she did not pursue much investigations on what she wanted.
Actually, I cannot hear you,
Oh, okay.
Shakirin.
One moment, okay.
Uh,
Can you hear me now, Prof?
yeah, it's clear now.
Okay. So, if I'm not mistaken, Elizabeth Holmes actually used the money that she got from the investors for
Mhm.
her own good. So
Oh,
instead of applying it in in research and stuff, she was using it for her personal uses.
okay. So probably that is one of the reason. Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to say something on any other factors ending up on scientific fraud? Gary, you have any idea?
No.
Okay, Amirun, you have any idea?
Um, as for me, like as you talk about Elizabeth Home, I did some searching, and it said that one of the maybe reason because it said that the Theranos device was actually maybe not able to perform as it advertised. So maybe it uses like commercially available machine to get the result instead.
All right. Can I have one more? Najla, what do you think happened? She has the motivation, she has the money. What do you think happened? Najla, will you be able to talk? Najla? Okay, there's one with a matrix number. Can you change your profile to at least your name, GS73831, because I cannot cross check who's that. Can you rename your profile name? You know how to do it? Hello? Hello? Okay, back to, okay, I haven't asked Luqman Hakim. So what do you think, Luqman?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I think I did some research actually.
Mm,
So I think Elizabeth Holmes is actually like she's very dishonest with his work with her work, because I think when when the scientists try to convince her,
mm,
she pressured them to stay silent
yeah.
like that.
Mm. Thank you, Lokman. Okay. So before she went out or before she became the dropout of Stanford, she actually went to one of her professor. Okay, one of her professor, and she actually tried to convince her about her ideas of innovation. Okay, but the professor said it's not really that easy. It's not probably it requires more clinical study, more analysis, detailed study on many samples has to be done before we can come up with a conclusion that the machines can work. Theory, in terms of theory, it might work, but due to I don't know. I do have some respect for her. Why? Because she's highly motivated and she managed to convince a lot of people to invest because it's not her money. She only founded the Theranos company, but in order for the company to expand, okay, and people use it actually, people use the machine Theranos, you need to have a lot of money, a lot of investors coming in. So she was able to convince. And if you actually watch her interview in a YouTube, you will find that she's very confident with her innovation. But as Lokman mentioned just now, okay, that there are certain things that we already knew from our classes that we need to do detailed analysis, okay, from literature, of course, which is at your stage now, okay. And the other one that we haven't discussed is about data analysis and data evaluation, okay. So I just want to at least guide you back, which I haven't from the beginning of the class because I actually jumped to problem statement because that is very important, but I didn't talk about the ethic of research. Okay, so what happened to her because she's really motivated, really think that it would work. Okay, she bypassed a lot of things and she didn't listen to her scientists because she has a team of scientists who did all the jobs and they actually come across a lot of problems. The machines doesn't really work, but in at the end is her staff that become the whistleblower who actually uh, spill the tea. And in the end she was being in prison for what we call as scientific fraud. So I don't know what is the term that is called scientific fraud. What does it cover? I don't know. But this is an example that it's good to be highly motivated in research, but we must be careful and we must have ethical. Okay, so I would like to share with you another story. So if you have the capacity to watch this one through, I don't know, I watch in HBO. Okay, is it's a series, okay, based on true stories, yeah, Dr. Death, okay. So I watched season 2. It's actually a retelling of the true story of Paolo Macchiarini, which I actually completed yesterday. Okay, so this is the story of a physician or surgeon, thoracic surgeon, okay. So what happened is he developed what is called biosynthetic trachea. Okay, so what he claimed to have, that the biosynthetic trachea, your windpipe, yeah, from here to here, the Y windpipe. Okay, that's the trachea is made from PET. PET is plastic, yeah. Your bottle, your drinking bottle, sometimes is made with PET, polyethylene terephthalate. So what he did, and he claimed that it works, is they fabricate according to the patient's actual trachea, and this scaffold or this synthetic biotrachea, they incubate in the stem cell of that patient's, okay, with the patient's own bone marrow stem cells. And it is just a bioreactor. Bioreactor meaning that it's a simple, you incubates in the stem cell, and they heat it probably at 30 or 40 degrees Celsius, and assuming that it will become alive. Alive meaning that the patient cells supposed to grow on the porous PET and eventually forming a functional living organ. This is the expectation of that physician, of that thoracic surgeon. Unfortunately, there are a few things that, because of this guy is so uh, ambitious, okay, and which one? This is how it looks, yeah, trachea. But this is the real trachea. Because this guy, this is Paulo, okay, the thoracic surgeon, he really believes that it works. He skipped ethic approval. He faked the ethic approval. He didn't even apply, but he said that he has applied. So you know that when you do something related to cell or animals, cell is fine. I think animals, especially humans, you have to apply for ethic approval. But he didn't do that, but he said he has done for ethic approval. And he said also, he claimed that they have passed the clinical study. Okay, it's actually the data is not real, is fabricated, and they publish in a high high repute journal, which is the Lancet. Okay, so if you Google anyone who published in the Lancet medical journal, they are close to Nobel laureates. Not it's not easy to publish in the Lancet. So if you can publish in the Lancet, then you are close to the Nobel, probably nominated for Nobel laureate. So, but the one that really make us sad is he convinced a lot of patients, okay, who actually have cancer, who actually does not have any hope anymore, okay, probably due to accidents, that their windpipe is already damaged beyond repair, only waiting for donor. You know how bad it is waiting for donor for that windpipe or any lungs or liver. So you can imagine that the patients are very, hopeful. But this Paulo guy has given them a false hope. Uh, they he told them that it's going to work, that it is scientifically working, but then they one by one end up dead because of the plastic trachea is degraded inside here. So you can imagine everything is become sepsis or necrotic. The cells just become necrotic, and then they spit out the coughing out the plastics from this area. So imagine how excruciating their death, okay, where you cannot breathe well and you cough out all the plastics. And this is the guy who give them false hope. And why? Because some of the teams, these are just the actors that acting the teams as a team. At the beginning, they support his idea, but in the end, when they studied the data, they studied again on rats. All the rats are dead once they have received the transplant of the windpipe, okay? And in the end, they have to really fight because this guy and the team work in a very high reputation hospitals in Sweden. So it's not easy to fight with the administration, okay, because they have to accept that they are wrong. The patients paid a lot of money, and I think around 18 of them are dead, okay. So this is due to unethical conduct of science, okay. So you need to be ethical in doing research. We haven't discussed about the data. We haven't discussed about uh, falsifying or fabrication of data. You only starting, right? So being ethical is the key before you start any research, okay? As you can see, if you're not being ethical, this is what is happening. People die, okay? As for Elizabeth Home just now, some patients who has used her analysis has been misdiagnosed, okay? Has been misdiagnosed. Some are actually diagnosed as having diabetic, but he is not, for example. So the conclusion or the impact from your probably unethical conduct, misconduct of these scientists is very, what you call, it impacts the life of someone else. Okay, so please be ethical. So I stop share this one before we take a break. I just want to share the ethic parts because that is the actual one that I want to share here. Okay, so let's go back before you start doing your lab. Is talking about ethic, okay? Ethics in research. So before we take a break, probably 5 to 10 minutes break, okay? It is very important, the key points of ethic in research. One is, of course, honesty, okay? Whenever that you do your lab work, you do measurements, you explore data, okay? Remember, do not fabricate, do not falsify, or do not misrepresent data. Okay, so whenever that you write in the future, also you must write with honest. Yeah, objectivity. Okay, so objectivity is to evidence your hypothesis, right? Because you have proposed the idea, so you are trying to prove the idea is correct by certain objective. So avoid bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretations is very, very important. Okay, so please do not change the data, or please do not uh, interpret them use with bias. Okay, please do interpret them as it is, as what you have conduct, as what you have obtained from the experiment. You need to have integrity, okay, carefulness, okay, avoid careless, avoid errors and negligence. Okay, probably your research is not really directly impact the human at this moment. You are doing some very fundamental work, but as a scientist, you need to train yourself to be uh, meticulous, meticulous. Okay, very sharp in looking at the procedures, getting data. Okay, keep good records of your research activities, data collection, research design, and correspondence. Okay, you need to keep record, because remember the Paulo case just now. Okay, his colleagues has to like go here and there, get data just to fight him. If they don't do that, then actually the patients keeps getting the number of deaths are getting increasing. So they have to stop Paulo from still doing all these doctor jobs. So they need to have evidence to fight. So keeping a good records of any research data that you have is a must. Yeah. Openness, sometimes it is okay to be open, but sometimes your results are confidential, so you have to talk to your supervisor whether your results are going to be somewhere for sharing with company. Then you cannot publish, you cannot do a conference, you cannot give seminar. So you have to really know the level of openness of your data. And respect for IP. Okay, so if you like, for example, stumble upon or have the capacity to look at some unpublished data, so you cannot use your data without permission. Okay, so you need to also give credit where the credit is due, give proper acknowledgement or credit for all contributions to research. Never do this plagiarism. Okay, so please do that. Okay, keep all this in mind before you start your research. Yeah. So apart from this confidentiality. So if you come across any important information, but you know it's someone else, okay, please do ask permissions. Okay, and do not just share everything in your social media. Sometimes you have to be confidential. Take care of someone else confidential as well. Responsible publication, okay? Publish in order to advance research and scholarship, not to advance just your own career. But this one is something you have not probably experienced. You will learn. Responsible mentoring. So this one is your supervisor. Okay, so your supervisor is supposed to really assist you, advise you as a supervisor. Okay. Respect for colleagues. So somehow, or probably in future, you will end up in academic or research institution, then you are competing with each other. uh, then you need to treat them fairly, okay, very professional, social responsibility, non-discrimination, competence. Competence meaning that you need to have a teamwork. Uh, you cannot work alone. Okay, and then about the legal. Same goes to if you are working with animal, you should apply for ethic approval before you can start doing the animal work. And especially if you're doing with human subjects, then definitely has to apply. Okay. All right. So let's take a break. Right. Before we just a 10 minutes break before we proceed with the scientific communication. Okay. All right. So please do not go out from the meeting. Please do not leave the meeting. Okay, just stay here, just take 10 minutes break. Okay, all right. Scientific communication. But this is just a guide for you to use for your proposal presentation, final presentation, or any other presentation. In fact, that you can use it for your, if you have any pitching in future, then you can use this technique. Okay, so let's look at what is scientific communication. Okay, when we talk about presentation, in this case, we are talking about scientific presentation, and I actually have shared in the WhatsApp communication that you should watch the NABC. So how many have watched the NABC? Afifa, have you watched the NABC video? Afifa?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have you watched the
Yes.
NABC?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Okay. So, Iza, did you watch the NABC YouTube just now? Iza? Iza? Are you there?
Yeah. I think I did. I think I did watch the YouTube video, yeah.
Okay, the NABC. So what do you think about C stands for?
I don't really remember.
Okay, all right. So if you think that you miss it, please do watch once again because we will discuss. But the video actually explain it better. Okay, so whenever that you are going to propose, meaning that you have to register for proposal seminar, right? Everybody has to present for your proposal. I think it's something compulsory for UPM. Okay, so this might be one of the way that you can do it. Okay, so before we proceed to the NABC, there are a few tips that I can share with you. This is based on what I have gone through for many years of my research life. Okay, and I have obtained probably 15 millions of grants. Okay, during my how long? 2002. I started to work 2002, so it's about 13 years of being academician and researcher. So we do have to apply for grants. Okay, so that's why I'm going to share with you, not to say tips, but it is based on my experience. Okay, so my experience is you always have to do a homework. Why? Because if you are going to convince people to give you 1 million or 500,000, you cannot just do it, uh, you know, give me that money. You need to be very thorough and what you will be using the money for. Okay, so you need to beat the science of it. You need to convince them in terms of science. You need to convince them what will you do with that amount of money and what the output will be from your 2 years or 1 year of research. So same goes that one day you're going to present your proposal seminar. It's not that scary. We always help our students, but of course you need to improve your skills or your presentation skills especially. And remember, whenever that you present, you are presenting to human being. Okay, you're not presenting to non-living things. Okay, you are presenting to human being who have feelings. Okay, remember they have feelings, and they do have good moods and bad moods, or they do have something in their mind, other things. So you need to get their attention to you. Okay. So whenever that you are presenting, okay, even though it's just like it's just my proposal seminar, I will definitely pass. Okay. Don't be too confident. Please do prepare. Okay, that you will have to prepare as if the presentation is going to give you, not to say, whether you are going to have a 1 million, or you're going to leave, or you're not going to leave, but at least you do a good preparation, because it's a training for you. Okay. So when you are dealing with human being, and they are with feelings, with emotions, then you need to have the emotion also. Okay, you need to play with their emotion as well. Okay, so it's not just science, but you have to look at their face, you have to look at their eyes, and you tell a good story. Okay, so I seldom, you know, uh, evaluate, regardless if it is proposal or if it is a final presentation, or if it is a viva presentation. There's a lot of mistakes in the slides. Okay, and people presented without any preparation. Okay, students presented without preparation. So what do you think, how I felt if people come to you and they're supposed to prepare, they're supposed to make sure that the slides are good, everything is nice, not to say perfect, but at least is acceptable for the examiner to look at, but they don't. I mean, it's careless, a lot of mistakes, and they don't even, practice. So how do you feel as an examiner? Because as I said, as a human being, I do have feelings. Okay, even though we really want to help our students to pass with good grades, but you must make an effort. So these are among the skills, among necessary skills that you need to have, which first and foremost, you must read your own proposal. Whenever that you have prepared a proposal, okay, you have tried your best, or you must read through. Why? Because you will find some mistakes, and you will find some, oh, if the story does not flow, for example, there's some missing parts. So you have to read to read your own proposal, or you have to read the slides through and make sure there's no glaring errors, spelling errors, and the flow is nice. Okay, so you need to do something, you need to be meticulous. Okay, and talking about the language, okay, not all of us have a good command of language, but it's okay. But you just probably need to deliver a specific sentences, and you only need to practice. Okay, probably you have this stage fright, you have this certain level of nervousness, but you need to deliver. So you practice. Practice makes perfect. Yes, practice makes perfect. You keep practicing in front of your friends, or probably you can record your presentation, and in the end, you improve day by day. Okay, you do that. Okay, so if you are presenting for grant application, for example, if in the future, okay, so about the proposal presentation, uh, as I mentioned, there are certain novelties that you have to evidence them during your problem statement. Okay, so if I'm the examiner, I'll be asking about the problem statement for your proposal, especially, and what is the novelty that you claim here. So when you say that this is something new, people have not done this, then you have to show evidence based on the analysis of the published papers or published literatures. How many has been published in that circle of areas? Okay, is it 20% publication or 300,000 in the last 2 years? Then that's not novel anymore. Okay, if you have like 300,000 papers but in a 2 years time, then I don't think it is can be claimed as novel. So you need to evidence that as well in your presentation, especially your proposal presentation. If it is a grant application, this is very important because the evaluator will be asking whether you reinvent the wheel or you use someone else, you just replicate, you just copy. So you need to prove that yours is new, okay, your idea is genuine, okay, so it's not something that you just copy from someone, okay, so you need to evidence that. And when you talk to people, you need to make sure that they understand the goal, the objective, okay, what is actually you want to achieve, what is actually you are going to give back based on the investment. 500,000, I put it on the table. So what are you going to give back? Okay, so you must be objective. This is what I'm going to give you back with that value of 500,000. And why is it worth the 500,000? Okay, you have to tell also. But this one probably is not really uh, needed in your proposal. But for me, for example, I will show you an example of the market segment, the probably return of investment, okay, based on this proposed idea. And it has to be practical enough, meaning that if you are proposing for 2 years project, then it has to be practical for 2 years, including the publication or the reporting, okay? So it has to be timely, achievable. So it cannot be nonsense. It has to make sense to the examiner. It has to make sense to the evaluator. This is what you want to achieve in 2 years. So be practical. I think I have talked about research design last lecture. So it has to be suitable with your time frame. Okay. And then when you're talking about research grant proposal, similar to you, if you are going to propose co-supervisors, somebody has mentioned last week that your supervisor might not be an expert in everything, okay? But doing a postgraduate research, you probably transcend some fields. It's not just you with your chemistry. Probably you need some multivariate analysis like RSM, like what do you call PCA, principal component analysis, which is beyond your supervisor's expert. So you need to have co-supervisor in your team to complete the supervisory action towards you. So that's why good and sufficient experts in your team. So if you translate this into research grant proposal, you need to present to them that I have a very good backup. I have a good team. So I can convince the grant provider or the stakeholders that I will be able to deliver the idea or the innovation. Okay, trendy. Trendy means that you have to follow the trend. Okay, if you're still working on the old idea, probably is not going to be interesting to the stakeholder. Okay, so the trend is now is about green energy, it's about green economy, then you have to work around that area. You will be competitive in future, you will be hired as a researcher, as a whoever you will be applying in future. So you need to be competitive, you need to read the trend. Okay, if you're still doing something, you know, uh, uh, old techniques, something that people has done, and once you graduate, when people ask you what have you done for your master, then when people listen to you, I have done this. Oh, really? Okay. Okay, because now the trend is like green economy, green energy, or you need to read the trend of Malaysia, or probably you need the trend of the world. Where are they moving? Okay, because you will need to be competitive getting a job after this. Okay, and follow the grant guideline. That one is if you're applying for grants. Okay, you need to follow the guideline. As so for your proposal presentation later, that you need to follow the guideline. Okay. All right. So this is what I have experienced personally for the past 13 years. Okay. And not 13 years, sorry, 23 years. No, no. My maths is, yes, it's 23 years. Okay, not 13 years. I'm old. For the past 23 years, and I do have some credentials, meaning that I've done this and I have succeeded in getting total of probably 15 millions in a, not in single grant, of course, in a total of grants within these 23 years. So let's look at how you can use some the NABC, okay? Right, so first and foremost, we look at the structure of presentation phase, okay? Phase is the steps of action, the steps of what you actually can plan for your presentation. So the NABC technique suggested that you have 8 points to follow, okay? And usually for a proposal, you have around 10 minutes. So this one, we try 8 minutes because it's actually quite tough to deliver your idea in 8 minutes, even in 10 minutes, okay? And you must remember people get bored. Who listen to you will get bored if you are not interesting enough. And I don't know, what you actually need at the beginning is what we call as a hook. So this is the whole structure of the 8 minutes. Okay. So you can just have like 8 to 10 minutes. Okay. So this is the whole structure of your pitching. Okay. You start with a hook. So we can see this, not to say you don't have to be very precise, 24 seconds, depends on the time limit that you have. So what do you think hook it is? Shakirin again. What do you think hook it is? Shakirin?
Uh,
Mm,
something that is interesting to
mm.
maybe a fun fact, maybe.
Yes, correct. Okay, thank you, Shakirin. Okay, just now I use stories like Elizabeth Holmes, like Paolo Macariani. I forgot the Paolo story, the Elizabeth Holmes story. But in the end, I want to bring back to you about the ethics, right? Okay. But instead of just directly going through the slide on ethics, I switch to story first, okay? Because I want to grab your attention. I don't know whether you really grab, I do really grab your attention or not. That's why I ask questions. I ask question. If I mean, I tell a story, I need to check whether you really get the ideas. So by asking question is also a hook, but it can be, you know, if you are doing a proposal presentation, I suggest you don't do that. You don't ask questions. You can tell a story. You can show. You can show something. Some. Okay, I think we missed that. You can show some data. Uh, right here, you can show some statistics, and then you can like be dramatic about the statistic, saying that we 1/3 of the world is having latent TB. So 1/3 of the world population. So if you're asking me, I might be with latent TB. You might be with latent TB. So those facts will like trigger. Oh yeah, okay. Am I? Am I having latent TB? Okay. Latent means that inactive at that moment. Okay. So those are hook because you need to grab their attention first. You need to grab the attention of your audience first. And you don't want they just look at a slide. You want them to listen to you, to me. You want the audience to listen to you, not just looking at the slide. And presenting does not mean that you just read your slides. Okay, presenting is that you are telling them a good story. Okay, you need to tell them a good story because you want them to give you marks. Or in my case, I want the money. I need the research money. So I need to tell them a good story. So before I can do that is I need their eyes on me. Not on my slide, not on their phone. Okay. So I want them to listen to me. Okay. So that's the first step. Now, the NABC. So we have the N stands for need. Okay. And the approach, A, B, benefit, and C is the competition. Okay, so it's easy to remember. It's need, approach, benefit, competition. Okay, so if you look at the structure, need will requires a bit of time. Okay, whereas approach requires a lot. That's a reason why. Yeah. And the benefits is just 48 seconds because once you have convinced them the need, I mean, people will understand the benefit. And then competition a bit, rounding off, conclusion. Okay, just to recap everything that you, to remind everybody, this is what I have told you, the recap everything's 24 seconds. So let's look at detail. Needs, okay? So this is one of the most important, okay? After hook just now, people now start looking at you. Need is actually the problem statement because instead in writing, in written form, you are writing a problem statement. But in telling people, you are trying to tell that this is what you need. I have a new sunscreen formula for Malaysian, which is a hot country, which very warm country, and you can't even go out without having sunscreen on, for example. And what's wrong with the sunscreen, the technology? I hope that the men do know what is sunscreen. Okay, what is the issue with sunscreen now? Okay, you have studied the issue with sunscreen is sometimes it's oily, it's not enough to block the UV, it's not really applicable. You need to have time to apply the sunscreen and then wait for it to dry. So those are things that, you know, makes people don't really want to do it. You want, but it's important, right? It's now we have a very high temperature and very extreme sunlight sometimes. So you need to have the sunscreen on. So now you are trying to tell people you have a new formulation. You have a new formulation that is something that can answers the problems that you raised. So you need to convince them that there's really a need for sunscreen for those Malaysian women and men. Okay, so it's not just about taking care of your skin, but we do have to aware about the effect of skin cancer by the UV. Okay, so we need to take care, we need to protect the skin from the effect of UV light. So you need to justify the problem. But people have done a lot of sunscreen formulation. So what's so special about yours? Okay, so this is where you highlight the needs. Okay, but you highlighted your formulation, a new formulation that really suitable for Malaysian climate or Malaysian temperature or Malaysian weather. Okay, so and then it is practical enough for working ladies, for all us working. We have to reapply the sunscreen or whatnot few times a day. So you really have to understand the science of it because you want to convince people the formulation is good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, can I ask, Wano Dalila, you just attended. Why so late? Uh, Sorry, I have to ask. Wano Dalila, you are in the WhatsApp group or not? Can I ask? Wano Dalila?
Yeah, I sampaikan that yes. Already in the WhatsApp group, I got the link from one of the student from Lukman.
So you were not in the WhatsApp group?
Just join. Just now. I just joined just now.
Okay, all right. So how long have you registered with this subject? You registered with the wrong group, right?
Yes, I don't know.
And you didn't ask me or anyone because your name actually is in group 1 for quite some time already, but
Uh-huh.
you didn't attend the class because you don't know about the class, right? But you
Betul,
didn't
yeah.
ask supervisor, didn't ask me or
No, I already asked my friend, tapi dia cakap, dia tak cakap pula kena masuk group 1 ke group 2.
Okay, actually, your supervisor knows already that those who are taking research by research, they're supposed to enroll in. Actually, I have given the link to all the lecturers for this
Oh,
group. Okay, so I don't know why you are left behind, but next time, okay, please do ask around. Please do ask the lecturer, which is me.
okay. I'm sorry.
I
Really
do have
sorry.
my email, I do have my email, and then my name is stated in the Putra Blast. So if you're not sure, just email me, right? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's look at the first one. So I hope that the needs are clear to you, just like problem statement. But now, instead of writing it down, you are going to convince people that this is the solution that you need, the people in Malaysia needs. Okay. All right. Now, if you look at B, we're not going to do B. It is NABC. We'll start with approach first. B is supposed to be after approach. So if you look at the structure of the presentation phase just now, okay, the approach takes the longest. I believe is 4 minutes. Why it is 4 minutes? Why do you think it's 4 minutes? Haikal, let me have a drink. Wait. Haikal, why do you think it's 4 minutes?
Because approach
Mm.
is a starting to talk about our research about the solution of the problem statement, and also to stimulate the convey our version in our research topic.
Okay, so correct, Haikal. Okay, there are 2 Haikal, I believe. Okay, so if you look at the structure of the written proposal, the approach is the research design. Okay, so we have discussed about research design, right, last week. So imagine that how long that you have to think about it, the method to use, how long it will take the analysis, uh, where to resource the machines, where to assess the materials. So these are approach. Okay, so now, for example, if I'm the audience who are you're presenting to, now I buy your idea. Okay, I do, and then I see the needs. Yeah, I convinced that I see the needs for your innovation. But now I also need to see whether it's doable, whether your science is correct, whether your science is actually practical enough for you to achieve this innovation. Okay, so how are you going to do the solution? How are you going to carry out the measurement? How are you going to carry out the analysis? So in approach, okay, it's easy actually if you put it on papers, because you put everything, the method, the preparation, whatsoever. Okay, but if you are presenting to people, you usually what you did is, oh, these are my methods. You just show the slides. Okay, you just show the slides. Okay, these are the methods that I will be using. I'm using blah blah blah. I'm using precipitation method. I'm using temperatures at a certain degrees. Okay, and then you assume that the listener will just accept that. Okay, but if you are going to do a serious pitching, okay, I'm saying about a serious, like 1 million serious or 500,000 serious, you really have to convince the audience. Okay, so what is the uniqueness of your formulation? Okay, so you intend to study okay, the formulation that can be, okay, of course, it's water soluble for us ladies, nak semayang susah. So we need to be definitely water soluble, and it can withstand, for example, three, at least how many hours? 8 hours, 9 hours of working hours. So how do you plan to do that? And then how do you plan to evidence that? Okay, so you need to tell them, I'm going to measure the formulation by using this technique to confirm that it works 8 hours, for example. Another one is, I'm going to test the water solubility, I don't know, the hydrophilicity of this formulation, so that it is evidence is going to be water soluble. Okay, and then, for example, I'm going to test the toxicity or acidity so that it doesn't hurt your skin. So those are approach telling that your innovation is going to be close to perfect, for example. Okay, so from there I would say, okay, you have done your work, you have done the job, I mean, you have done the study properly. Okay, so if you are to propose for something future to make a business, okay, then there are others that you have to consider. For example, for myself, if I ask for grant money, I have to ask for human resource. How much do I need to pay for my RE, for my students GRA, and I have to pay some money for services. Okay, those are the things that also I have to put in approach. Okay, because if I'm the funder, I need to see where my money goes to. What are you going to pay with my money? Okay, so that's why it is 4 minutes. Yeah, you need to convince in 4 minutes that you're going to evidence all your claims just now. Okay, and how you're going to evidence that, and how are you going to use that money. All right. So now NA, and then we go back to the benefits. So once you have done these two steps, you convince them there is a need for your innovation, and then you scientifically proven that it can be evidenced through analysis, chemical analysis or biological or biochemical analysis to prove that your formulation work. And then you also have some theoretical scientific data that supports your idea, then the benefits will not be that difficult, okay? Because at least you have passed the 2 steps, and the benefit is more towards, if you're talking about business, you're talking about return of investment, how much money you can generate, or if it is a societal needs, then you probably talk about the benefits to society, the benefits towards, if it is education, if it is environmental, then you talk about that. Okay. So if it is about business, it's always about return of investment, how soon you can generate money from that. Okay. The B, benefits and approach we have done. And of course, if you remember the gap analysis from literature review, so you already knew that someone has done the same thing, but you are proposing a better solution. So of course, you need to address your competitors. So addressing the competitors is like saying the weaknesses of others. They cannot do this. I can do this. Okay. So I'm proposing a better alternative, right? Which company A does not have. So you have to be this. Um, even though you need to be ethical. You do respect your colleagues, but of course, you also have to stand out with your idea. Okay, so you cannot run from saying about the weaknesses of others' achievements or findings. So you have to do that. Just like if you're writing literature review, because it is a review, you need to say that their solution is probably not perfect because the temperature has to be very high or the yield is very low. So you have to say that in your review, okay? Same goes to competition. When you present, you have to highlight their weaknesses. And last but not least is, of course, you have to do iterations. Okay, so iterations means that you have to practice. So in any scientific communication, unless you're very well versed, unless you're a very good speaker, you have done it many, many times and people want to listen to you. You don't have to hook them. They really want to listen to you. You are an outstanding researcher, then probably you don't need to iterate. But as a common researcher like me, I do have to practice, and you also have to practice your presentation. So practice makes perfect. Iteration means that you don't just practice once, you practice, practice, and practice. Keep practicing. Okay? Right, question. Can you do that? Okay, so no question. Let's just, we want to look at a few two examples of proposal, a written proposal. Yeah, and I will share with you a video again from after this. I will share in the WhatsApp group. It is a scientific communication competition called Fame Lab. I don't know whether you have heard of it, but I will give you the link so that you look at how they presented their idea. Okay, they only have around, I think, 3 minutes code. I don't remember. They are not doing this business pitching, but they are trying to explain a sort of complicated science, okay, in 3 minutes. So after this, I'll give you the link. But right now, we are going to look at examples of a written proposal. Okay, any question on the pitching, please do ask. I hope everybody is clear. Okay. All right. Just a bit on sharing on proposal, because after this you will be writing your own. Just a moment, yeah. Okay, are you seeing the Apply Innovation Fund? Can you see it? Hello?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay. So what I'm going to share with you is my own proposal. It's a written proposal, and there are two types. So what I'm sharing right now is supposed to be applied research. Okay. I didn't talk about applied research, fundamental research with you, because this is something you will know as you go along with your research. So in this case, it is considered applied innovation because the grant is under MOSTI. Yeah? MOSTI, they don't do fundamental. So you look at the title. I hope that you can see with the size. Okay. So when it is applied, you see that the title is like prototype. The technology is materialized. It's no longer talking about fundamental study, but you have a prototype or probably a system. Okay, so in this case, I'm proposing a miniaturized enos. The keywords here is miniaturized enos, because enos is already there in the market somewhere, but it's big. Okay, and why enos is good? Because for chemical analysis, sometimes we have to destroy the sample. So for enos, because it is based on sniffing, so it will be non-destructive monitoring for food quality, for example. Yeah. So those are the keywords. So let's skip, but you can see that a lot of things that I have to put there. And the first and foremost is, of course, the problem statement. So the issue here that I would like to highlight is the enos technology. It's not the food issue, but the enos technology itself. So, but I do relate them with food. So the enos is good in analyzing VOC, or volatile organic compounds. And for food spoilage, okay, you can detect through the change of pH, or you can detect through the VOC secreted or produced by the spoiled food. So what I try to highlight here is the capacity of enos to provide rapid on-site analysis and non-destructive. And the last one that I would like to highlight that I already have a prototype of Enos. Okay, so design current Enos technology designed for early detection of fungal infection, and I provided also the evidence that I have done this and significant potential in identifying other things as well. So instead of identifying disease for plants, it can also be used for other applications. But based on our experience, we actually come across problems like bulkiness of the machines, unfriendly design, and one thing that is a trend now, which is AI assisted. Okay, so the software that we have to use previously was using the commercial software called Simca, and it is expensive. So not everybody can just buy Simca. Okay, so we plan to have an improved version of Enos, miniaturized, meaning that smaller size, and then it is together with AI assisted. Meaning, in future, we plan to have an app that can be read through your smartphone. So the smartphone and the miniaturized device is linked. So you can just probably scan the food packaging and then check whether the food is bad or spoiled already. Okay. So those are the ideas from here. So, well, I do not know whether the issues, meaning that the Enos is not really a common technology in Malaysia. You actually haven't come across anything using Enos yet in Malaysia. But then probably is acceptable by some people. So I try my luck. Don't know. But I have done the proof of concept. It is called for applied research. I have done the proof of concept through my first grant, but it is not applied to food. It is applied to disease, palm oil disease, which is fungal issues. And it is evidence with my publications, with my prototype, but I need to improve the prototypes. And it is probably more economical to apply it with food rather than with just trees. That is my idea. Okay, so those are my problem statement. This one you can just skip. Of course, you need to have introduction, right? The research background is similar to introduction. So where you tell all the theories of Enos, this one is quite easy because everything is accessible now. You tell the challenges, what are the gap analysis, also you can put here. And of course, you need to cite some references. Okay, I don't think that is something difficult to do because you know what the problem already, so you just want to tell the story in detail. Okay, so that is introduction or research background. So goes to research design. So as I have suggested to you, the research design and objective should come together. So under each objective, you should have all the steps necessary to achieve the objective. Okay, so from here, people sort of know, okay, you know your business, you know how to achieve the objective through all these detailed proposal, a detailed method section or research design, okay? Sometimes you do not have to be very detailed, but it's okay if you want it to be detailed. All right, and then, so I include also statistical analysis, okay, improving of design, okay, multivariate analysis, and for grant applications, you have to point out what is the output. especially this one is applied research. So you have to say, you have to state what is the product that you're going to have. Okay. Possible IPs. We haven't talked about IPs yet. Sometimes you have to evidence the novelty based on prior art search. So you can do this also, prior art search. And if there is any risk, okay, technological risk, financial risk, or time risk, okay, and the impact. Just now is the benefit as well, okay, economical, social, market needs, okay. You have to justify the market size, whether it is really needed in our country or in the world. Okay. In this case, I also have to find out the price range for Enos. Okay. And then, of course, the challenges will be market acceptance because people are not really familiar with Enos. I have to answer that, probably. All right. Again, the benefit society. Okay, and I have to evidence the collaboration. And of course, as I said, what do you want to do with the money? You have to put the detail. Okay, I'm asking about close to 300,000. So how much do I spend on material? How much do I spend on services or analysis, or how much I spend with the prototyping or with the human resource? Okay, usually the human resource is the one that takes a lot. Without HR, I cannot do anything. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, just a moment. Stop share this one first. Okay. Right. This is fundamental. Just now is applied. Now we are talking about some fundamental study. So I hope that you see the difference in terms of title. Just now I mentioned about prototype that will be developed, a product that will develop, a system that will develop. But in this case, I'm producing some chemicals and do some synthesis and characterization. So let's look at the structure of the application, the proposal. Let's move faster with this. That's cannot be that fast. All right. Okay. So again, people want to see is the statement, the problem statement. So that's why it is the most important part. So in here, of course, I need to have an introduction, a bit of introduction, how big the issue of allergic towards penicillin, and what is the one, the current method being used to identify the penicillin contamination in non-penicillin drugs, how bad is the issue and why it is happening. Okay, so it should be in here. And also I have in the problem statement my suggestion, which is using molecular imprinted polymer. So Ifa is here. She has done this during her final year project. Okay, so the 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 technology that I am suggesting is using imprinted polymer. So in this case, because this is fundamental study, so I highlighted a novelty in terms of chemistry. Okay, so like I highlighted a new thing, an imprinted polymer. the technology focused on the polymer actually, not on the penicillin. Okay, so previously when I present applied, I highlighted on the enos, not on the food. Okay, so you have to see the what kind of research you are focusing. So this case is fundamental, so I highlight the chemistry. The imprinted polymer is relatively new, okay, and it provides some new features, okay, and it can be a good sensor material, for example, okay. So in this, we have hypothesis. Of course, literature reviews or actually research backgrounds is similar. And then you can also put figures, graphics in your proposal because that makes much easier for people to understand. Okay, the preparation, for example, and then references. Objective. Under objective, we have all the necessary steps to achieve the objective, okay, which is the method section. And you can always also put some figures to make people understand, and which I didn't show just now, the milestone, okay. So I think I talked about milestone during research design, okay. So you should put the milestone in your Gantt chart so that you and your supervisor will know where you stand, how much you have achieved, how much you have completed. So this is the milestone. So whenever that I have to present the progress, I will present based on milestone. So my second milestone will be here. So for example, then I only focus, highlight these results under this. So that makes things easier for you and your supervisor to follow your progress. And the Gantt chart, of course, is very important for you because let's say in this case, I need to complete it in 2 years. So within 2 years, I have to get a master's graduate or PhD graduate. So you need to evidence that in a Gantt chart, and each milestone has a specific time to be achieved. Okay? All right. So I think your proposal also should have these kind of things so that you will be practical. All right, stop share. Just one more last thing. Is your assignment. So I still have the slides. Okay, just a moment. Okay. Okay, right. So this is already week 4. I usually give assignment. Okay, so at least introduce you to the coming assignment that you have to finish by week 9. Okay, so week 4, you have around 1 month and a week. By week 9, you should deliver this. Okay, so it will be in 2 forms. One is in oral presentation, okay, and one in written form, okay. So content according to the format discussed. So you should be referring back to our slides. I think we should have it here. Okay, so you should have it here. You should have everything here. Okay, try your best to include everything: title, executive summary, until risk management. Okay, remember that it will contribute 20%. for your written proposal. Okay. And the presentation, the pitching or the oral presentation, okay, will be in recorded form. Okay. And the maximum slides that you can use is 5 slides only. Okay. And try your best to do it in 5 minutes or maximum 8 minutes. Okay. So this has to be submitted by week 9. Okay. So you have your semester break in after week 8. Okay, that is not considered a week lecture week. So after your semester break, you have week 9. Okay, I suppose that will be enough for you to start preparing your proposal, a proper one, not just for the sake of this subject, but for you. Okay? And I will give you an example of a recorded video that I have done previously with other students. Okay? All right. So now we are approaching 4:20. Any questions?
That's it.
Yeah.
The proposal or like evaluation will be based on our research project or like